You guys may recognize the name and our next presenter, Jennifer Peñate. She was a former lead anchor at Channel 12 in Joplin and has since moved to Northwest Arkansas and is the lead anchor for KNWA in Rogers, Arkansas. Jennifer is an award-winning journalist and an evening anchor for KNWA. She was born in El Salvador and grew up in Rogers, Arkansas, and earned her bachelor's degree in journalism from the University of Arkansas in 2011. Her greatest passion lies in keeping people informed and giving back to the community by being a public speaker and volunteering for nonprofits. Prior to working at KNWA, Jennifer worked at KODE. I guess I should have read what I wrote here. As an evening anchor. While employed at KODE, Jennifer devoted much of her free time to volunteer organizations and efforts. She was a volunteer and advocate for the Water Gardens Gospel Rescue Mission, the Lafayette House for Families, experiencing domestic violence and sexual abuse or substance abuse. While volunteering, Jennifer also volunteered here in the Neosho School District and founded a group called Girls Unstoppable, a mentor program to aid young fourth grade girls from Latino and Pacific Island descent in their academic and social development. Jennifer worked to help these young women, or helps to work these young women, recognize their true potential and has led in efforts to help them become more empowered and involved in their school and in their community efforts. I became aware of Jennifer's efforts because I watched her do it in my classroom when I taught fourth grade. And I had the pleasure, so the way it started is I wanted to have, at Benton Elementary here in school, or in Neosho, we have about 30% of our student population is Hispanic or Pacific Islander. And I put together a small little conference for the third and fourth grade students and had minority women come and present to the students, and probably not long after you were hired at KODE. So Jennifer came down with a group of ladies that I worked with at the home office and presented to these students. And after it was finished, I thanked them, and Jennifer stuck around and said, "I love this. How can I continue the help? Would it be possible to come down a couple of times a month and mentor with a small group of students?" And if you're a teacher and someone says, "How can I help, and can I come into your classroom and help?" You know, you're like, "God, yes, please, thank you." And she did for 2 years. Would come down before her workday began, and I had lunch with these young women, and it was just incredible to watch the lessons. And girls that wouldn't raise their hand and speak in class, she had them speaking in video promotions for fundraising and food drive efforts. And so just I truly had the opportunity to watch that start and to see what she's doing with it now. It's just awesome. So Jennifer Peñate.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for having me. Chet, thank you so much for all of your support. You know, what I'm still doing with that group is in major ways thanks to you, so I appreciate you believing in me and allowing me to help you in the classroom for a little bit. So today I'm going to talk about giving back, helping and empowering underrepresented groups, specifically with my experience being minority and female. So we're always told that serving others is our duty, right? That's what we're supposed to do here while we live our lives, is to also help others, extend a helping hand. Happiness is found giving and serving others. That's what we're told, right? We give, we become blessed, we become happier. But I think that sometimes it gets a little diluted. Sometimes it becomes a little more selfish and more self-serving than actually serving others. We do it to find that gratification. We do it to feel a little bit better. And yes, we're helping the other person, and the other person is feeling better and is getting the help. But is it going to support, and is it going to help them long term, right? Is it really going to improve their lives as much as it is improving our lives? So how we serve. A lot of us will advocate. A lot of us will donate to charity, attend fundraising events, whether that's a race or a gala or a dinner, volunteering, and creating support groups. So these are amazing, phenomenal ways to give back, to be involved in our community, to get to know people. But sometimes, who's seen BIRDBOX? sometimes it feels like we're Sandra Bullock in Bird Box, right? Where we're trying to lead people and we're trying to help them get out of these situations, whether it be homelessness or poverty or domestic violence or what have you, right? And help them, but are we truly seeing their needs? Sometimes we have a blindfold on. And yes, you know, our intentions are great. Our intentions are magnificent to try and build this person up and get them help. But sometimes we really aren't that sure in what we're doing. And sometimes that is the start, right? And she ends up surviving, and the kids do too if you haven't seen the movie. So it all turns out great. But she also learned an incredible lesson, which is, you know, it really takes heart. It really takes heart. It takes more than just saying, you know, I'm going to help, I'm going to go to this charity fundraiser. Empathy plays a huge part in actually making a difference in serving others. So I have a quote up here: nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So you can know how to help them, and you can have all the knowledge, you can have all the books, you can have a plan, you can formulate all of this stuff to get them on the right path. I came from a background where my dad was in the military, and he was a police officer in El Salvador, so everything was by the book, right? You had to have a plan, you had to do that plan. There was no plan B or plan C, it was A, and you figured out a way to do it. And sometimes that just doesn't work. You know, people learn differently. People need empathy. People need to know that you care. It's not just this formula for you to follow, but it does require some heart. So you never really understand a person until you consider things from his or her point of view, until you climb into his skin and you walk around in it. That's Harper Lee. And so really understanding who you are helping, who you are serving, and to really connect and form a relationship with them is, in my opinion, how you're really going to serve them in the best way possible. Underrepresented groups, those would be African Americans, Pacific Islanders, the Latinx, LGBTQ+, homeless, the less fortunate. Those are the ones I think that kind of seem to fall through the cracks a little bit more. My personal experience, of course, being a Latina, my family moved to Northwest Arkansas from Los Angeles when I was 7 years old. And I did not know one word of English. I could not say hello to you in English at that time. That was 1996. And I was one of 3 Latinos in my elementary school in Rogers, Arkansas. My parents, bless their hearts, they tried so hard. They really did. You know, their #1 mission was to help me be who I am now, and they succeeded. But at that time, they couldn't help me. They didn't know English. They didn't know how to write in English, speak, read. So my homework, and there was no Google Translate. So, I mean, it was kind of hard. So I just had to figure it out. Like and honestly, if you ask me, well, how did you do it? I have no idea. By the grace of God. You know, just I would go home crying every day from school because I didn't understand, and it felt awful not being able to understand or to even try. So I had to work to be able to work, right? I had to learn to be able to learn, and it was challenging. And we don't see that need unless you live it. So that's what helped me be able to do what I do now, is because I lived what these girls are living through. And all of you have a story. It's not like mine, but you have a story, and something that's happened to you, something that you've experienced, something that's happened to a friend or a family member can help you connect in a whole different level with someone that is going through that or has gone through that, in order to reach them and serve them at a whole nother level than just feeding someone at a soup kitchen, you know, once a week, or going to a gala, which those things are, like I said, awesome. But there's also a way where you can go a little deeper and connect and have that relationship with that person. So reaching others effectively. Of course, awareness and accepting differences. Oh my goodness, what did I do? Okay. So awareness and accepting the differences, being able to see, yes, we are not alike, but that's okay, because you're gonna learn from me and I'm gonna learn from you, and this is how it happens, right? It's kind of like dating. So, but dating at a whole different level. You know, it's someone that you're gonna help and you're both gonna benefit from that relationship. And that includes culture and religion and what are your priorities in life, right? And understanding that not one person is right and the other one's wrong. It's just being able to effectively understand and have some compassion, being able to listen and learn and understand. And it takes some time. It's like the group that was before me said, you know, it's about spending time, and it takes a while. It took them, 6 months? It took me quite a bit, and I'm still trying to work out my program as well. But being willing to understand and not judge and keep moving forward. So how do we start? Identifying a need to serve. What's your why and what's your how? Again, we all have a story. So what is the reason why you are wanting to give your time to someone else or to a charity or to a group, right? And the why is what's really gonna drive you forward and what's gonna keep you there. I volunteer, like Chet mentioned, at Water Gardens Gospel Mission in Joplin. Is anyone familiar with that? Yeah, so I loved it because it really helped people see their self-worth. So how it works is it's for the homeless and the less fortunate. It's a homeless shelter. And anyone that needs help goes there, but they have to give their time to receive something in return. So let's say someone needs a shower. So you go up to the front desk, hey, I need a shower. Okay, you need a sweep for 30 minutes. Okay, so the person sweeps for 30 minutes and then they get their hot shower. Or they need a meal. Okay, so you can volunteer grinding some coffee beans over at the shop, and then after you're done doing that for 45 minutes, you can go get your meal. So it's kind of like that. So it's showing them, empowering them that they have what it takes to get something, right, to be able to build a life. Because a lot of people, we don't know their stories, who knows what they've gone through, and it could be one of us one day, we don't know. So being able to tell them, hey, like, you are totally worthy, and I am here to be your partner, let's work together, let's do that. And eventually I was able to connect with quite a few regulars, and I proposed creating a kind of like a mentoring program. So it included a small Bible study and also teaching them how to use a computer, how to use their words effectively to write a resume. And a lot of these people didn't have experience. They've been living on the streets forever. They don't have a job. They haven't had a job in years, but still showing them that they have skills to put on a document and to show people, and just letting them know that they do have something to offer the world. And just with that, it helps build them up a little bit. They're not going to come off the streets the next day, and they're not going to have a job the next day, but slowly they start feeling that self-esteem, rise a little bit. And I started, I think it was 3 men. They were in their 50s. And then by the end, which was, I think it was several months, 6, 7 months, I had about 12 people that were coming regularly, including those 3 people, which was pretty cool because these are people who are used to walking, the streets, maybe panhandling, moving from town to town, and then these same people are coming to this classroom with this girl that was asking them to do weird things, and they kept at it and they kept learning and they kept praying, and I saw them just, I don't know, become a little bit happier with themselves too. Not all of them, but most of them. So action. Just do it. That's what I think. That's what my dad told me. Just do it, right? You don't need hundreds of dollars to be able to help someone. And you don't need this fancy building to help someone. You don't need a nonprofit title. You don't need this extravagant plan to make a difference and to serve someone well. So this is my group. This is the first group of girls, the first class that Chet had, first fourth grade class that I was able to take part in. There were 8 girls. So I named the group Girls Unstoppable, and I had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, I didn't really even know that I liked kids. I only had my little sister to base my ideas off of, and she's 8 years younger than I am, and she was so pesky, and I didn't really know I liked kids. But but after speaking at the school, like, I saw the need, right? Like, I saw myself in them. I was shy. I wouldn't raise my hand because what if I pronounce that English word wrong? What if I couldn't spell it right? I remember one time, I was in 4th grade, and the teacher asked the class if someone could spell cannot on the whiteboard. And I raised my hand because by that time, I was reading the dictionary like it was my religion because I was going to be perfect at English. And so I was so confident. And so I go up there to the whiteboard, and I write C-A-N-N-O-T, no space between can and not, right? And all these kids just started making fun of me. They're like, no, that's so wrong. There's a space in between can and not. And I was blushing. I was so scared, but I was confident that I did have it right. But then I was just so anxious. Oh my gosh, what if I messed up this word? And the teacher's like, y'all be quiet. No, it's right. It can be, spelled with a space, without a space. Like, it's totally right. And so from then on, I kept raising my hand, but I was still very, very hesitant to do that. So I knew what they were feeling. I knew that every time a girl thought about raising her hand, so much doubt was going in her mind, and she was becoming so insecure. And that can be so detrimental to how you lead your life from then on. It was for me. I didn't really participate much. Oh, goodness. Getting ahead of myself. What was I saying? Thank you. Self-doubt. So it can be very, very detrimental, especially for someone who already feels very different. Like, for me, I had to prove that my parents leaving their country and leaving everything they knew, everyone they loved, was worth it. That's what's going through my head at 6, 7, 8, and still now. I still have to prove myself to them. But it's a big burden to carry on your shoulders, that knowing your parents sacrificed so much to give you the life that they knew that they could never have and never will have. Both of my parents worked factory jobs. One works at Tyson, one works at a local manufacturing company for toolboxes. And so being wrong feels like a huge disappointment, a huge letdown to your parents. Because, again, they sacrifice everything, right, to give us that perfect life that they envisioned. And so it goes way beyond raising your hand and risking to be wrong. It really, just hits all those emotions and all those weird thoughts that can be very detrimental. And I'm still working on that. But I think I turned out fine. So I have faith that these girls will turn out fine too. And so I met with them, like Chet said, once a week. And what I did is, so I didn't have a plan. I didn't know I liked kids. But I was like, I'm going to make this work because these girls deserve better. These girls deserve to know that it's okay to be wrong and it's okay to fail and you're not disappointing anyone. Like, you have to try. And so my mission was to unleash their full potential. So I created this curriculum, and it was really just kind of guessing what to do. So it was 20 lessons. It went from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. based on anything from kindness to community service to listening to each other, to how to deal with stress in a positive way, what to do when you're angry, just all these types of things that we don't really think kids go through, but they do. And I think there was one girl that every class she was crying. Every single class she would come in and she would just cry, whether it was something that was happening at home or something, a girl was mean or she was getting in a fight or something, but she was always crying. And I had no idea what to do. Luckily, Chet was there to help. But we eventually figured it out and was, able to help her. There was another girl who was having some problems with her mother, and she confided in me, which is really special because a kid to trust you, that says a lot. So again, giving them a safe space to be themselves, to be who they are, to be able to be vulnerable and know that they are taken seriously and that they are safe and that they are loved no matter what they're going through or what they do. And that's like the key, right? Like no matter what you do, like I'm here to listen, I'm here to hold your hand, I'm here to help you, and I'm here to empower you. And so this is my last group of girls. So we've been going 4 years strong. Girls Unstoppable. Hold on. I'm telling you, I'm a hot mess. Hold on one second. I meant to bring this letter, and I forgot it. And so I told my friend to take a picture of it, because I have it hanging on my cubicle at work. No, I don't have an office. It's really sad. This little cubicle with a picture of my dog and this letter. And a plant, which I thought I could keep alive, and it died in 3 days. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, okay. So, so I was telling you about the lessons, right? Before we start the lesson, we start with a pledge. And we say it all in unison. And it's basically just kind of an oath that you take for yourself to prove that you will try as hard as you can and become, it ends, I'm not gonna say it because it's a secret. So basically the end is that I will become a powerful woman that can change the world. And that's the purpose of this group. Change the world doesn't mean, solving, I don't know, some big political debate. It means being able to at least be a light in the world, right? To make it a little more pleasant, even if it's for one person. So after the pledge, we have the good and bad. So we go around and we share one good thing that has happened to us through the last week, and one good thing and one bad thing. And if they don't want to participate, they don't participate. They usually do. And I go first, just to kind of break the ice. This is before every lesson. And then they go, and they do it. And at first, I just thought, well, why not try it? Again, this is all just a learning experience, trial and error. Is this going to work? Is this lesson plan not going to work? What do I throw out? What do I bring in? This stuck. And it really helped them, again, just trust and be vulnerable and be open. And so it turned out great, and they loved it. Well, this summer, one of the girls, Jaslyn, she's the one right in the middle with the white little cardigan. She wasn't at the last lesson that we had before summer. And she ended up sending me a letter. And it starts by saying, "Hey, Miss Jennifer Peñate, how are you? I guess I will start the good and the bad." Let me tell you, I start crying just with that. I'm going to start with the good and the bad. Because to me, it was just a way to kind of break the ice every lesson. But she really took it to heart. She starts the letter with, here's my good thing and here's my bad thing, which the bad thing was that she wasn't going to see me anymore. And that made me cry even more. But just the simple fact that little thing, that little part of the lesson made such a big impact for her to include it in a letter, in her daily thought process. was a big deal. It really did mean a lot to her to express what was going good in her life and what wasn't going so good. And just the ability to express that is a big deal. Because a lot of us, I'm sure, keep things in, right? We're taught that we can't be too emotional. We can't really say how we're feeling. Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? Oh, I'm good. But are you really? And so what I really wanted to show them is, like, I want to know exactly how you feel. I don't want to fine, and I don't want a not fine. I want a concrete answer of, hey, what's going on? So we can talk about it, we can develop that relationship, and we can move forward. So that was very special. So again, that's hanging on my cubicle. Okay, so again, you don't need fancy stuff. You really just need a giving heart. So what I'm going to show you is a story that I did last year in Elkins, Arkansas. And this man started kind of like me. He was a little more knowledgeable about what he was doing. But he is still making a huge difference, and I'll get to that after the video. But this is a man who tried to box, and he competed, I think, like twice, and he just wasn't very good. And so he became a coach. And what he did was, in Elkins, Arkansas, it's pretty rural, there's not much going on, and even like in Fayetteville. So he kind of watched out for those kids who were at risk and didn't really have a good support system and were just kind of everywhere. And he kind of recruited them. He built a gym in his garage with help from his wife, built this gym and taught these kids how to box. And it ended up empowering them in ways that he couldn't even imagine. So, enjoy the story.
A passion to empower kids led an Elkins man to build a legacy right in his own backyard. In a KNWA special report, Jennifer Peñate stepped inside the ring to show us how, through a sport not known for kindness, Robert Lorimore taught boys how to become strong men of character.
An unlikely combination creates a continuous rhythm, sustained by craftsmanship and willpower. Robert Lorimore created a legacy by combining two talents into one powerful force, all to encourage the most vulnerable.
There's a lot of kids, and they're easily picked out, that are ready to go south.
Coach, as he's affectionately called, built this gym from the ground up in his backyard, all to teach unseemingly talented kids the art of boxing.
You're giving them a reason to be a good citizen and be proud of themselves for what they're doing.
In 1971, at 19, Lorimore fought a good fight as an amateur boxer. After his time in the ring, he and his wife created Elkins Boxing Club, a traveling team offered to kids at no cost.
My wife came up under a very passive, loving, caring family, and I certainly did not. I don't have any family. I grew up with a bad attitude, but this sport helped me, and I tried to share that.
Dozens of kids came through Coach's gym, including Jason Drummond. His dad was in and out of jail and died when Drummond was only 10.
Jason, he wanted to fight somebody, and in the ring was probably the last place he thought about it.
I was a kid going down the wrong road, and Robert pretty much adopted me, and it's been a good experience.
Drummond's life was forever changed.
I try to get back because of what he's done for me and what this has done.
Drummond is now using Coach's foundation to teach the next generation so they too can counterpunch life's biggest challenges.
Number one's discipline. They have to be disciplined. Respect for themselves, respect the other guy. We don't curse, we don't go out and we don't use tobacco, we don't drink.
It's impacted my life in about everywhere I can imagine. I mean, it taught me work ethic, there's struggles and in the ring, there's struggles in life.
Coach might have hung up his gloves, but Elkin's boxing club is still going strong, with Drummond signing up a team for tournaments around the state.
To do the best that you can do, win, lose, or draw.
All because Coach kept his eye on the prize, not on winning championships, but developing hearts of gold.
Life's rough. Life has a lot of challenges. This sport has a lot of challenges. You gotta bring your personal best. You need to be bringing your personal best in your walk of life.
In Elkins, Jennifer Peñate, KNWA, Northwest Arkansas News.
Were you able to hear that okay? Kind of? Okay, good. So I love Coach Robert. He is amazing. Again, he had nothing but his backyard, nothing but his garage or whatever he calls it. And you saw the ring. It's together with tape and some, like, what are the pool noodles? Like, that's all he has, right? But it's enough. You heard the other guy. He's doing the same thing. He's following his footsteps, and he's using that same gym to train not just boxers, but leaders, you know, boys who might be having difficulties. And Robert and Jason are there to just encourage them, you know, not only to be able to do an uppercut, but also to be able to fight those challenges with the good head on their shoulders as they walk through life. And this is one of my favorite stories that I've ever done, just because it shows how much heart someone has, and how much love one person can have towards complete strangers, and the difference that can make. So I just shot this story that hasn't aired yet yesterday. And there's Robert, or in this picture, in the middle of the ring. He's reffing a fight. And this is Tito on this side. Tito was one of his former students. That gym, which is amazing, I mean, it has like high-tech equipment, an amazing boxing ring, amazing workout equipment. He is using that gym to do exactly what Robert did for him at a whole nother level. There were at least 50 kids in that gym yesterday. Anywhere from 4 years old to 18 and adults. So Tito, if a kid can't afford boxing lessons, he covers it. He doesn't charge them. So they can just come in and learn from him. And he also partnered with Washington County Juvenile Detention Center, so the kids in juvie. There's a group. They go there Wednesdays and Thursdays, and they're a family. They love on them. They encourage them. They don't have any preconceived notions. They don't ask what they did to land in juvie. All that they care about is to love them and to create good athletes, and more importantly, to create good people. And Coach, and he always says this to me, he's like, this boxing is regarded as a very, very violent sport, right? I mean, you hit people in the ring. But we're not teaching them violence. We're teaching them discipline. Every time they come in, they say hello to me, and they say, "Good evening, sir," or "Good afternoon, sir. How's your day?" And if they don't, they can't participate. So teaching them discipline, self-worth, love, how to keep going, because these kids get knocked out, let me tell you, it's crazy. But they have to get back up, and we get knocked around in life too, and that's the lesson that they learn. And the legacy continues. I mean, that gym is fantastic. And these are Latino boys who, Tito is 29 and his partner, Mauricio, is 28. So they're doing this together. They don't really have a lot of money, so they get donations and stuff. They both have full-time jobs. So he works at a factory from, what did he say, 3 p.m. to 8 hours later. I'm not good at math. So that's why I'm a journalist. So he does that, and this interview, he left work during his dinner break to come give us this interview and show us around the gym and stuff. So in the he's still laughing at me. So in the morning he works at the gym. So he's at the gym from 6 a.m. up until like 1 p.m. working with kids. Then he goes and does his full-time job. Mauricio does the exact same thing. So I have a lot of friends who reach out to me and say, hey, how can I help? You know, I want to do this, I want to do that. One of them comes to mind. He was like, oh, I want to like do this group for boys to help empower them. You know, he's African American. I want to help African American boys, you know, get on the right path, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay, I can talk to you about that. Like, I have this group, this nonprofit thing that I have going on that I do every week. And he's like, oh, so like, how did you get involved in that? How, like, where did you find it? I was like, oh, no, I created it. And he was like, wait, what? I was like, yes, I created this thing, and so can you. He's like, but I don't have money, like I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm like, I didn't either. So we build excuses a lot of why we can't help others, whether that's time, whether that's money, whether that's family, whatever. But it really, really does not take much. And you saw, I mean, you can make such a big difference just by caring. And it can take 30 minutes of you just talking to someone in a very, you know, intimate way, and you can make such a big difference. So I just encourage you not to limit yourself and to really see the potential that you have in yourself to be able to create a difference. Just as you know, one person can make such a big difference, and then you create these ripple effects. You don't have to be a large nonprofit to be able to change your community. Just care. That's all you need to do. Just care. And then everything else will follow. Like, I just cared about those girls that day that I went and talked to them, and then everything just kind of followed. I just did. And everything worked out fine. I'm going to start my, not yet. My 5th year. I'm in a Springdale school right now, and I'll have 12 girls this school year. But yeah, just care. So I like this quote: a person's most useful asset is not a head full of knowledge, but a heart full of love, an ear ready to, I cannot spell either, to listen, and a hand willing to help others. So just care. And thank you.